My mother-in-law and sister-in-law called me a freeloader while I was secretly paying their bills. Then they threw my son and I out. They'll regret it. My life was pretty simple until Jake came along. I worked as a fitness trainer at a neighborhood gym, helping people get in shape. It kept me busy enough that I didn't dwell on the quietness of my personal life. That all changed the day Jake walked into the gym. "Hey, I'm looking to switch up on my routine. Got any killer moves to start with?" he asked, his tone casual but his gaze intense. I gave him a quick glance over, and he wasn't some clueless rookie wandering around, unsure of what machine to try first, but no, he knew his way around a gym. He just wanted something more. "Sure," I said, leading him to a set of weights. "Let's see what you got." One session turned into a week, then a month. Our casual chats stretched longer, becoming more personal. Jake owned a small family-run Italian restaurant, best known for its sauce. "It's all about the sauce," he'd say, and nobody makes it like my mom. He spoke about his mother with a mix of admiration and exasperation, hinting at deep family ties. One afternoon, after an intense workout, he caught me off guard. "Listen, Emily, I've been thinking, how about dinner at my place? You can meet my mom and finally try that sauce I keep bragging about." I hesitated, not out of disinterest, just surprised. "Yeah, why not? I'm curious if it's as good as you claim." Dinner was warm and inviting. The food, incredible. And the company, surprisingly comfortable. His mother, Anna, greeted me with a warm smile and hearty laugh, but her eyes studied me carefully, as if sizing me up. His younger sister, Sophia, dropped by as well, though her presence was far less welcoming. "So, Emily," Sophia began, a smirk curling her lips as she just eyed the muscles I had spent years developing. "Jake says you're quite the fitness guru. Ever work with hopeless cases? Or do you just make the fitter?" I chuckled, letting her jab roll off me. "Well, I believe everyone has potential. It's just about finding the right motivation." Jake quickly became a constant in my life. He showed up at the gym at the same time every day, always finding an excuse to chat a little longer. "You know, I never believed in fate or any of that stuff," he admitted one evening as we locked up in the gym. "But meeting you, maybe I was wrong." There was something about his mix of gruff charm and unpolished sincerity that was disarming. Even though a small voice in my head warned me to take things slow, I was already falling for him fast and hard, like a rookie lifter under too much weight without a spotter. One freezing night, as we walked to our cars, he suddenly stopped and turned to face me, his expression serious. "Emily, I'm not fancy at great words. Emily, I'm not great at fancy words, and I don't have a smooth line to impress you, but I like you a lot. What do you say we make this official?" It was blunt, honest, no games, no hesitation. That was Jake, straightforward and all in. My heart pounded in my chest, and I grinned. "I say yes, let's see where this goes." And just like that, my life was no longer my own. I was no longer just a fitness trainer at the neighborhood gym. I was Jake's girlfriend, then his wife. Moving into his mother's house after we got married wasn't exactly my dream scenario, but Jake insisted it was necessary because of his strong family ties. From the start, living with his mother, Anna, and his sister Sophia was a challenge. They made no effort to hide their disapproval of me joining their family, and the tension grew daily. The house was always bustling, yet somehow I ended up carrying more than my fair share of responsibilities. After exhausting days at the gym, I'd come home to an endless to-do list. The old washing machine was a constant nightmare, breaking down so often that I have joked it had a personal vendetta against me. But no one else seemed to care or even notice, especially not Anna or Sophia. One evening, after dinner, I was wrestling with the broken machine again when I overheard them in the kitchen. "She doesn't even know what she's doing," Sophia scoffed, making no effort to lower her voice. "Watch, she'll probably flood the basement next." Their laughter echoed down the hall, stinging more than I wanted to admit, but I bit my tongue and focused on fixing the machine. It wasn't just the washing machine. It was everything. Cooking, cleaning. No matter how hard I tried, my efforts became their latest joke. Cooking was the worst. In this house, Italian cuisine was sacred, and my attempts at it were considered blasphemous. I followed Anna's recipes exactly, but nothing ever seemed good enough. One night, as I struggled with a simple spaghetti recipe, Sophia appeared in the doorway, watching with amusement. "Is it supposed to look like that?" she asked, a smirk playing on her lips. "It's nothing like Mom's." I gritted my teeth and stirred the sauce, which stubbornly refused to thicken. "Well, I'm trying my best here." Sophia snorted. "Maybe your best isn't good enough. Ever think of that?" I wanted to snap back, to defend myself. What was the point? Nothing would change. Jake, meanwhile, never stood up for me. If anything, he seemed to shrink when his mother or sister mocked me. His silence was just as loud as their laughter. "Hey, Emily, just leave it," Jake said later, his voice quiet. "It's not worth it." Dinner became a battleground. I set the table each night hoping for a peaceful meal, but sitting with Jake's family felt like stepping into a lion's den. "You know, in Italy, they'd probably ban you from the kitchen for this," Anna joked as she took a bite of my food. The others laughed. "Yeah, maybe stick to what you know, gym stuff," Sophia added, dramatically passing me the salt as if it were some sort of peace offering I didn't deserve. I forced a nod, grinned, and swallowed my frustration, along with the meal they mocked. Every day in that house felt like a battle I wasn't prepared for. As my pregnancy progressed, things only got harder. The housework, which already fell almost entirely on me, became even more stressful. But instead of helping or showing any sympathy, Anna and Sophia's hostility only grew. One afternoon, moving slower than usual thanks to my growing belly, I tried to sweep the living room. Anna strolled in, watched me for a moment, then let out a sigh of disappointment. Emily, you missed a spot over there. Look how slow you're moving. This house is going to fall apart at this rate, she said, pointing to a corner I hadn't reached yet. I straightened up, feeling a sharp tightness in my back. I'm doing the best I can, Anna. It's just a little harder with a baby, she scoffed, shaking her head. In my day, we didn't let something as small as pregnancy slow us down. You need to toughen up, old girl. The lack of sympathy stung. But as always, I bit my tongue. I bit my tongue to stop myself from snapping back. Later that day, while I was folding laundry, Sophia walked in and immediately started flipping through the clothes I had just carefully folded. You do know these aren't folded right, don't you? She said, her voice laced with condescension. They should be able to stand up on their own, like how Mom taught us. Here, let me show you again. Without hesitation, she grabbed a shirt I had already folded, tossed it back into the pile, and then, with deliberate precision, refolded it, making a point to demonstrate the right way to do it. My frustration boiled over. Sophia, I appreciate the lesson and all, but I've folded clothes before. I'm not an idiot. She simply raised an eyebrow, a cold smirk forming on her lips. Could have fooled me, but hey. If you're okay with being could have fooled me. But hey, if you're okay with being mediocre, who am I to argue? Her words hit like a slap. For a moment, I just stood there, watching as she made my efforts seem worthless. It was the same story in the kitchen. Every meal I prepared was met with either harsh critique or outright mockery, especially if I attempted something even remotely Italian. One evening, I decided to try again, sticking with something simple. A classic pasta dish I was sure I'd finally perfected. Just as I was stirring the sauce, Sophia strolled into the kitchen, eyeing the pot with obvious skepticism. What's that supposed to be? She asked, her tone dripping with doubt. It's spaghetti carbonara. I thought it might be nice for dinner, I said, hoping just once for a different response. She grabbed a fork, scooped up some pasta, and took a bite. Her reaction was instant. An exaggerated grimace, as if I just served her something inedible. Nice? This is what you call nice? I wouldn't feed this to the dog. It's all wrong. My patience snapped. I slammed the lid onto the pot, just slightly harder than necessary. Well, it's what's for dinner. If you don't like it, you're welcome to make something else. The tension in the house grew worse with each passing day, and Jake's absence only made it harder. He spent most of his time at the restaurant, always too busy, and when he was home, he avoided every confrontation. Whenever I tried to tell him how his mother and sister treated me, he would sigh and say, I know it's tough, Emily, but try to hang in there. They'll warm up to you eventually. Just give it time. But time didn't change anything. After I gave birth to my son, I naively thought things might improve. Instead, they got worse. I had gained a significant amount of weight during pregnancy, and that became their new target for ridicule. Look how much she's eating, Anna would chuckle, as if I tried to keep my strength up while breastfeeding. Are you feeding a child or a small army? One day, while I was nursing my son in the living room, I heard Sophia from the kitchen. Mrrr. The sound sliced through me. My eyes burned with tears. To them, I wasn't a person anymore. I was nothing more than a cow, a utility for my son. That was my breaking point. The constant ridicule, the cold treatment, the feeling of being nothing more than an underappreciated wife or scolded daughter-in-law. It was unbearable. I needed something for me, a space where I could be more than just Jake's wife. That's when I decided to take control. One morning, while Jake was at the restaurant and Sophia was out shopping, I set up my old camera in the corner of the cramped guest room. It would become my makeshift gym. As I adjusted the angle, I whispered to myself, I'm doing this for me, not for them. I started recording simple at-home workouts, exercises tailored for moms like me who couldn't always make it to the gym. Talking to a camera felt unnatural at first, as if I was speaking to an audience that didn't exist. But soon, it became my escape, my haven. The first few videos were rough, as you'd expect. Stiff commentary, awkward delivery. Hey everyone, it's Emily, here with a quick 10-minute workout, perfect for busy moms. Let's get started. With each video, my confidence grew, and so did my audience. My follower count steadily increased, and what had started as a personal escape began to feel like something much bigger. I invested in a better camera, took online courses on lighting and editing, and my little project transformed into something wholly mine. Then, one afternoon, as I was filming a low-impact workout, Sophia barged into the room. What the hell are you doing? She demanded, her eyes darting between me and the camera. Are you turning our house into your personal TV show now? My heart pounded, not from the workout, but from the confrontation. Well, yes, actually I am, I replied, standing my ground. This is important to me. I need something of my own. Sophia scoffed, looking around the room with pure disdain. You think you're some kind of star? Please, get over yourself, Emily. Her words stung, but I had grown stronger. Well, it's not like I have your approval from anything else around here. I might as well do one thing I enjoy. She rolled her eyes and stormed off, but I didn't let the interruption stop me for long. I turned the camera back on and continued, this time with even more confidence. My digital presence kept growing, and with it came new opportunities. Brands started reaching out, offering free products for me to feature in my videos. Then came sponsorship offers. The first time a company offered me actual money to promote their product, I was stunned. I can't believe they're paying me for this, I told Jake over dinner, excited to share the news. That's great, Emily, he said absent-mindedly, barely looking up from his meal. His mind was occupied with the restaurant's struggles. Then, without much enthusiasm, he added, just keep it quiet, okay? Mom and Sophia don't need to know about this. I didn't argue, I just simply went back to washing the dishes. Just then, my phone buzzed. Another notification, another comment, another follower. Each one was another step away from their contempt and towards something that was entirely mine. You're doing amazing, Emily. Thanks so much for sharing your journey. That was when I realized my channel wasn't just a hobby anymore. It had become a business. And soon, it was making more money than Jake's struggling restaurant. Every month, I quietly transferred $2,000 into the household account, making it seem as though Jake was the one covering the bills. Despite my success, despite the fact that I was keeping our family afloat, Anna and Sophia continued to treat me like a freeloader. She does nothing around here, just prances around making her silly little videos. Anna would sneer whenever she thought I was out of earshot. Sophia echoed her mother's complaints, adding her own insults about how I should do more housework like a real woman. Then Jake's restaurant hit an even rougher patch. One evening, he came to me, looking more exhausted than I'd ever seen him. Emily, the restaurant needs a cash injection badly. Can you help? His eyes were desperate, but I didn't hesitate. I transferred $10,000 without a second thought. Jake initially expressed deep gratitude for the financial help, but it wasn't long before he came back, asking for more. Just another $55,000 to cover the bills this month? He muttered, almost ashamed. I agreed. I could afford it, and he was still the father of my son, the man my child adored. But deep down, I could feel the imbalance growing, not just financially, but within our own relationship. Life in Jake's family home had always been difficult, but things became unbearable when Sophia got married and moved her husband, Mark, into the house. Suddenly, the house was packed, and whatever small sense of peace I'd managed to carve out for myself and my baby disappeared. Anna, never one to mince words, stopped holding back entirely. Now, she called me lazy and a parasite right to my face. You do nothing around here, she scoffed, as I struggled to balance my growing online business while caring for my child, just taking up space. To make matters worse, Sophia was now pregnant, and Anna made it very clear that they wanted more space, strongly hinting that my son and I were in the way. Soon, there will be another baby in this house, Anna remarked one evening, her eyes locking on the mine, and we can't have freeloaders taking up space. The message was crystal clear. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Jake dropped another bombshell. He had to leave town for a few weeks to handle important restaurant business in another city. So he packed his bags, kissed me and our baby goodbye, and walked out, completely oblivious to the storm he was leaving behind. I tried to keep things normal. I took my son to school, filmed my videos in the park, and stuck to our routine as best as I could. Then came the day that changed everything. It started like any other. I picked my son from school, and we walked home, chatting about his day. But the moment we turned the corner, my stomach dropped. Our belongings, suitcases, bags of clothes, even my son's toys were piled up on the front doorstep. Confused and heartbroken, I rang the doorbell. Anna and Sophia appeared at the window, their expressions cold and unmoved. They opened the door just enough to speak through, but not enough to let us inside. You need to find somewhere else to stay, Anna said, her voice flat and unyielding. I stared at her, stunned. What are you talking about? What about Jake? What am I supposed to tell him? I asked, my voice rising with fear and fury. Sophia let out a cruel chuckle. Tell him whatever you want. He's not here to carry us, is he? Panicked, I tried calling Jake again and again, but no answer. I had no choice but to gather our things, fight back my tears, and find shelter. That night, sitting in a dimly lit motel room, my confused and upset son by my side, something inside me snapped. This wasn't just a temporary setback. This was a forced eviction from a life I could no longer tolerate. I had just finished unpacking when my phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Sophia. Strange, we rarely communicated directly, especially since things had gone south. The message was surprisingly cheerful. Thought you might want to see what your beloved husband's been up to. A link accompanied the message. Curiosity sparked. Anxiety tightened in my chest. I hesitated, then clicked. The page loaded, revealing a social media profile filled with photos of Jake. He wasn't on a business trip. There he was, smiling over candlelit dinners, strolling along the beach, his arm wrapped around another woman. I scrolled to the most recent post, timestamp yesterday. I sat there numb, my phone slipping slightly from my grip as reality crashed down on me. Jake wasn't just away for work. He was living a completely different life without us. A deep, bitter anger boiled inside of me, threatening to consume me whole. But before I could, I felt a gentle tug on my sleeve. Mommy, are you okay? My son's voice, soft and filled with concern, pulled me back from the edge. I forced a smile and scooped him into my arms. Yeah, buddy, I'm okay. Just a little tired, that's all. As I sat there staring at the flickering light of the motel television, waves of rage and betrayal surged through me. For months, I'd been the financial backbone of Jake's failing restaurant and his ungrateful family, only to be discarded like trash. And here he was, living a fantasy at my own expense. My phone buzzed relentlessly over the next week, call after call from Jake. When I finally answered, his voice dripped with false concern. Emily, where are you guys? I heard about what happened. You should come back. We have bills to sort out, and the restaurant needs more funding. His words made my blood boil, I tell you. But I kept my tone neutral. Sure, Jake, we can discuss it. I'll come by tomorrow. His relief was almost comical. Great, I really think it's best to handle these things in person. The second I hung up, a cold determination settled over me. Jake had no idea I knew about his affair. And he had no idea that I had zero intention of being the obedient, forgiving wife who bailed him out. Tomorrow's meeting would be pivotal. I was ready. Dropping my son off at school that morning felt like the calm before the storm. As I drove toward my mother-in-law's house, where Jake, Anna, and a heavily pregnant Sophia would be waiting, my stomach churned with a mix of nerves and steely resolve. Jake greeted me at the door, looking relieved, almost pleased to see me. Anna and Sophia, their expressions were filled with open dissatisfaction, but without a word, I pulled the divorce papers from my suitcase and handed them to Jake. As his eyes scanned the documents, his expression morphed from confusion to disbelief. Anna and Sophia, meanwhile, smirked, assuming they had won. Then I turned to them. Their smirks vanished. "Don't celebrate too soon," I said, my voice calm but razor sharp. "You've been living off my efforts all this time." Jake's face paled. Finally, he admitted the truth. "The restaurant, it isn't doing well. It hasn't been for a long time." Anna and Sophia's joy curled into horror and fury. They immediately turned on him, their earlier glee replaced with venom. "You've been keeping this from us?" Anna shrieked. "How could you let this happen?" Sophia snapped. They weren't upset about Jake's lies. They were enraged about losing their financial safety net. Then Sophia, ever the arrogant one, sneered. "Well, since Jake makes less than you now, he'll just have to fire for alimony. How's that for justice?" Jake perked up, nodding eagerly, as if he had finally found a way to win. I almost laughed at the absurdity. "That's where you're wrong, Sophia," I said smoothly, turning to face them both. Then I met Jake's eager gaze. "And you won't see a single cent from me. No alimony, no handouts, nothing." Jake's smug grin disintegrated. "What? That's not how this works." I tilted my head, letting the weight of my next words sink in. "Oh, but it is," I said coolly, "because I know about the affair." His face drained of color. "How did you—" I just smiled. Jake stared at me, still trying to feign innocence. "Pretend all you want," I said coolly. "Your sister sent me everything. Pictures, dates, locations." I turned towards Sophia, whose face had gone deathly pale. "Thanks to her, I have all the evidence I need." Chaos erupted. Accusations, denials, frantic justifications. Everyone turned on each other, grasping for a way out. I let them flounder in their mess for a while before cutting through the noise. "And one more thing," I added, my tone sharp as ice. "I'm taking back everything I paid for." The room fell silent. Every appliance, every piece of furniture, every luxury that had been taken for granted. As realization set in, their arguing came to an abrupt stop. I had already arranged for movers. Anna and Sophia's panic grew as they watched them haul out the refrigerator, the washing machine, the flat screen TV, and even the beautiful blender I had gifted them last Christmas. "You can't do this," Anna cried, watching helplessly. "We need those things." I met her desperate gaze, my voice calm but unwavering. "I bought them, and now I need them." The movers continued, methodically stripping away every trace of my financial support. As the last of my belongings were loaded up, I felt lighter than I had in years. For the first time in a long time, I was free, no longer tied to this house, these people, or their deceit. I turned to Jake, who looked small and defeated. His last hope for easy money had crumbled before his very eyes. "Take care of your mother and sister, Jake," I said simply. "That's your responsibility now." And with that, I walked away, not just from the house, but from all of them. This wasn't just a physical departure. This was my final step out of their toxic clutches, a step towards reclaiming my life. The divorce, in the end, felt more like freedom than loss. I fought for compensation due to Jake's infidelity and won alimony for our son. My lawyer handled everything, making the process as smooth as possible given the circumstances. As for Jake and his family, their lives changed drastically. Without my financial support, his restaurant collapsed. The family home had to be sold to pay off the debts, proving just how unsustainable their lifestyle had always been. Then came the desperate messages. Anna and Sophia flooded my inbox with a mix of apologies and pleas for help, but I had no interest in being dragged back into their madness. I blocked them without hesitation. Sophia's husband left her. Now the entire family, Jake, Anna, Sophia, and her child, was crammed into a tiny rented apartment, struggling to get by. They had created this mess, now they have to live with it. Meanwhile, life for me and my son Alex was finally looking up. We had settled into a comfortable routine in our own rental, one that felt more like every home, every single day. My YouTube channel and Instagram had taken off, resonating with women, especially new mothers looking to regain their strength and confidence. Seeing the positive impact of my work sparked a new idea, creating online fitness courses designed specifically for postpartum moms. For the first time in forever, I felt excited about the future. There was so much to build, so much to accomplish. But as I sat in our little sanctuary, surrounded by my son's laughter echoing off the walls, I realized something. We had made it through the storm, and now it was our time to shine. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life Reddit stories.